to you about click binding. This is spiral binding that clicks shut instead of using your machine to close it. Now, you don't need a machine to close this or use this binding. You need a machine to actually cut the holes. Now, when I bought the universal cinch, I bought it because you were supposed to be able to make everything. You were supposed to be able to use any kind of binding you want. I am finding out that is not totally true. You still have to be careful what you buy in order to bind using the universal cinch. Now, I also have the original regular cinch, and I bought the mini cinch. My favorite is still the original, but I want to talk about the click binding because I've had a lot of questions and a lot of people have been interested in it, but until you try it out, you don't know if it really works. I also have found a way to use 4-to-1 pitch spiral binding in the two machines you're not supposed to be able to use it. The universal cinch, you can use 4-to-1 spiral binding, but with a hack, you can use that in your original and in your mini. That is on another video. I show you how to use the mini, the regular, and the universal, all using 4-to-1 pitch. There's just a little hack. You need to know how to punch your holes properly. They fit correctly in the universal, just not in the other two. For this video though, we are going to talk about the click binding. Now, when I ordered my universal cinch, I was super excited. I wanted to try out this click binding, so I went on Amazon and I bought a pack of click binding. I didn't pay attention to any settings. I just saw pretty colors and decided to go for it. It had purple in here. I love purple. I decided to love the colors. Let me buy this. It was cheap. It was like 10 bucks for 24 pieces. So I'm like, 10 bucks? I'll give it a try. It doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work, it is not a pitch that the universal cinch can do. In fact, it doesn't even tell you what pitch this is. I can't figure it out. I have tried it with the universal cinch, the original cinch, the mini cinch. I even broke out my old comb binding machine to see if maybe it fits in comb binding, and it does not. No matter what I tried, it does not line up. Even using the hack, it still won't line up to where I can use it in any of these machines. And I have tried everything. I didn't return it because I wanted to keep trying it. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't the error. But there is nothing, none of these machines will use this. Now this, there are 30 of these. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29? No, there's 30. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So if you see a pack of these that have 30 loops, does not work. The pitch is wrong. So what I did was I went and found a 3-to-1 pitch, and this one, the listing said it was a 3-to-1 pitch. There are 34 of these little thingies, not 30. When I say pitch, that tells you how many holes are in 1 inch. If it's a 3-to-1 pitch, that means there are 3 holes in 1 inch space. This does not measure up. I've tried to see what kind of measurements it is. It doesn't measure up. So if we put these side by side, you can see they're starting exactly the same. And by the third one, it's already off. This does not work. Make sure you get 34 of these little loops. If it doesn't say the pitch, at least look for the 34. You should always be able to find the pitch. Now, these have pretty colors as well. In fact, the colors are more vivid than these. You don't get as many colors. There's no purple in here, unfortunately. There's no green in here, unfortunately. I like putting green because a lot of my notebooks have flowers, so the greens look nice. But side-by-side comparison, these feel cheap, like they're not gonna last. These feel thicker, and instead of being flat on the sides, they are rounded. So this feels like a better quality than this, and you get what you pay for. This was $10. This pack was $20, and it comes with 30 pieces for $20. Still not expensive. It's like 67 cents each. One of these, because I don't usually do large notebooks, I usually do small ones, so one of these are still going to do 2 notebooks for me. Like 35 cents, I'm good with that. They are more expensive, but they fit, and that's the important part. You need to make sure, if you want to keep crafting, that your supplies work, and that's what I'm here for. In case you're just now viewing my channel, I am Crafty Tina's, and I show you how to use your equipment so that you can make pretty things. So let's talk about how to use these. We have to use them in the Cinch. If I find a hack or a way that we can use them in the other machines, I will make sure I do a video and post it. So at this point, if you are interested in that, please make sure you subscribe, like this video. When you subscribe, YouTube will notify you when I post a video. I don't post a ton of videos. Even though I have over 150 videos, I don't post a lot, so you're not going to get just notified constantly. But if you are interested in the Cinch, in either or all 3 of them, make sure you subscribe. So I want to make a notebook using the click binding. So we're going to use the universal Cinch, and we're going to make a notebook using this binding. This is my worksheet book. This is the book where I put all of my information, all of my spreadsheets, giving guidance to making notebooks of all different sizes in these machines. I recently took the sizes for the pocket punch board from another video. That's this little board here. I put it in a spreadsheet as well. So now I need to add this spreadsheet to my book, and that is why I wanted the click binding. I did bind this in spiral, not in the double loop wire, on purpose, so that I could go back and change out the pages as we update them and add more sizes, and I can add to the book. If you use the metal wires, once you bend those wires, you can't unbend them and then bend them back. It doesn't work. If you use the spirals and you didn't crimp the edges and you don't have anything holding it, you can remove this, add the page, and put it back. We're going to remove the spiral, we're going to add the page, and we're going to use the click binding. Very simple. You twisted this on, you are basically going to twist it off. It is just as quick as putting it on. These machines do not add your spiral binding on. It only punches your holes and it bends your double loop wire. But for this type of binding and the click binding, this back here, this back part where you normally would mash your wires, you're not using that part because it's unnecessary. These are flexible little plastic pieces that don't require a machine to use them. It only requires the machine to punch the holes. So we're just going to take this out, and we're going to add a page, and then we're going to use the click binding to put this book back together. I did make this book with a soft cover, not a hard cover. I just simply used cardstock to make my covers because I wanted it to be thin and flexible and easy. Now I have a new sheet. I need to decide where I want it. I think we're going to add it right here. This is for the pocket punch board. But I have the universal Cinch, the mini Cinch, and the regular Cinch. The regular Cinch, we've got all kinds of sizes. If you want any of those sheets, in the description is the link to my Facebook page, and that is where all of them are found for free for you to print out, along with a ton of pages. This is the blue line page. I also have like a checklist page. All of these are for free to print out from my Facebook page. So now let's put this in the click binding. So just so you know, this, the first one I bought that did not say, this will not fit. There's no way to get it to go in the holes properly. So I was super surprised and happy when I found out that I could put 3 in each hole, and that's where they go. Now before I close this, I am going to take out some of my extra pages in the back. They were just little note pages. I think I was feeling it too full. All of my sheets are made so you can fold them in half. This is one full sheet, 8.5 by 11, folded in half, and I left space on each side, so when you fold it, there's room to punch. So now I want to put this inside, and then it goes to here. So I'm going to need to cut this plastic. Now you can use a pair of scissors, pretty much anything. I have little plastic cutters. These are actually for people with 3D printers. Hubby has one, so this pair got liberated from him. And I can just come in here and cut the plastic, and I believe it would be best to cut the plastic flush with the very last loop, because that's the way the start was, so I figured that's the way the end needed to be. So now they all fit in there, and this is click binding, so you basically are clicking. I don't know if you can hear it. You're clicking each one, and that is how you close it. The intent of this is so that you can easily add a page or take a page out. What if you're writing on a page and you mess it up? Or in this case, when my pages get updated, I will want to change the page out with the updated version. Now, when we do metal binding on this machine, we always put the seam inside the book so that it's kind of hidden. But this book is thin and has thin front and back. I don't think it will look as good being on the inside. So we're leaving it on the out. Now this is kind of snug, like really snug. I'm not sure I like how snug it is. When you're using these, you can see how loose they are and how easily they just kind of run around. Any of my wire books, it's kind of easy and it runs around nicely. So let's see how it opens. Well, it opens pretty good. Here's a problem. There's no gap between here. As you can see, there is no gap. And what I've learned is with these spirals, you need the gap. You need that little bit of space between the pages in order to get a good opening, turning kind of notebook. You need that gap. Let's see how this does. And see, it's already so snug. I'm wondering if that's going to be a problem for future bindings. What if we have problems with opening and closing because of the gap or the lack of gap? Here's one of my wire books. There's plenty of gap. The pages aren't overlapping. This is the very first thing I've bound. The pages overlap. This tells me that my click binding needs to be larger. So this was 12 millimeter. I believe this was the 1/2 inch. This was 12 millimeters. In another video, I actually used some of this spiral, and I actually told you guys that you really need to use a bigger spiral so that the pages don't overlap, because as you can see, the pages aren't laying flush. They're like catching on each other because they don't have enough space. There's no gap between them. Just for point of reference, the universal cinch has a larger space between the punched hole and the edge than the mini and the regular cinch. What I mean by that is And we're going to leave the comb binding to the side. These are the 3 punches. I'm going to do it this way so you can see. The amount of space in the mini between here and the hole, and the amount of space between here and the hole on the original cinch as well as the mini is 2 millimeters. The amount of space on the universal cinch is 3 millimeters. So the universal cinch is larger from the hole to the edge, and that is why there's not enough space. Not having enough space between the two leaves no gap, and that makes it harder to turn the pages. This is unacceptable. Not being able to flatly have my book bothers me. It does fold back. It does close, but the turning of the page, if I want to turn one page at a time, it is wrinkling my pages. It won't let them flow properly because there's not enough space inside. Even if I removed some pages, it's not that it's too full, it's that there's not enough gap between the right and the left. The regular cinch, because it has a 2 millimeter, not a 3, has more of a gap. The mini cinch also has a 2 millimeter, so there is a gap. This was done with the universal, and it does not have a gap. It needs to be a larger spiral. And that's what I was doing. I was telling you in another video, for the universal, you need to use a larger, and I believe it's larger than 14 or 16. I think 16. It needs to be larger so that you have the gap, so that your pages don't catch on the opposite side page like this one just did. Like you really have to pull up and over. Up and over. You can't just flip, because if you flip, it gets caught and it's not flat. Now your paper's on top of your click binding. This doesn't mean that these don't work. It simply means that this machine is going to require larger click binding than the 12 millimeter that I bought. So I would say not even 14, I would try for a 16 millimeter, because you're going to want that bigger space. You need to have the bigger space in order to have the free flowing. That's the only way you're going to get it. Now, they come in different sizes. When we were discussing our spirals, they come in nice sizes. This, and they come in beautiful colors. So this was the 12 millimeter. Nope. So this must be this one. This is the 14 millimeter. This is the smallest I would go. In fact, I'm not even going to put a 14 millimeter back on here. I'm going to go higher, and I'm going to do the 16, because the 16 seems to fit better. Now, the beauty of these compared to the wire ones is that they don't tangle. You can simply pull these out, take the one you want out, squish them back together, and stick them back in the tube. Squishing them together will not tangle them. There's no openings to get caught on anything. It's all one piece, so they don't get caught. So that is the beauty of the spirals. Now that was the 16 millimeter. I believe the 16 millimeter is going to be the smallest you can use with the universal cinch. Now, not to get ahead of my video, but I am working out a hack, both with the universal and the other two. I'm working out something that you can use with these machines to make this distance smaller, so that you can use smaller binding with your machines. Once I fix that, this should be able to work with the universal cinch. So I am not going to return these. I'm going to hang on to them. Now let's see how hard it is to unbind the click binding. I saw a little tool somewhere. Well, this isn't fun. That you could just run down the line and it would click them all open. But I wonder if that would like mess up your paper. So it's not that it's difficult. My hands are not small enough to go into these little edges. They do unclick well, not well enough that your notebook's going to fall apart. Let's see if I can do, yeah, that's not going to work either. I was just wondering if I put something in there and pulled, if it would unclick them. I mean, you're not going to use this for something that you have to open and close a lot. It's only going to be for those occasions. But yeah, this is kind of a little difficult. I'm trying to understand these little clicky things, and pulling up does not work. So you literally do have to go through here and open every one of these little guys. I'm not going to lie, I really was looking forward to these little click thingies. One of the reasons I bought the Cinch was for the spirals, because I like all the pretty colors and I like how they're like little springs and they're cute. I'm kind of now more partial to these than these little click guys. I would not want to open up a lot of these. In fact, they actually hurt your hands to keep doing this. But we're almost done. And then I want to show you how easy it was to put on the spiral. Whew. Okay, so now we have them all unclicked, and that really hurts. We can take this off. And remember I said it was kind of tight? It is a little snug in there. I'm going to look for other ways for us to bind our books using these little click guys, because I do think they're handy for taking them in and out. Oh, okay. Whew. So I am going to use the 16 millimeter instead of the 14. I mean, they don't look a big difference, but I guess that 2 millimeters does make quite the difference. This is the, I'm sorry, this, nope. I just want to make sure that I am telling you the right size. This was the 14 millimeter, and this one was the 16. I bought a whole variety pack just so I could experiment. Check them out. Save you guys some time and some money. So now let's put the larger one, the 16, in this book, because I want to show you, you saw how I put this one in. This one isn't much harder to do, and it doesn't take much longer, but it also does not hurt your hands. So we're going to put this in here, and we're just going to turn it. And this is a 4-to-1 pitch. That means 4 little loops go in a hole, and then I simply go to the next hole. And you just turn it. I mean, this is not, you guys saw how easy it was to take it out, and you see how easy it is to put it in. So in my opinion, this is just as good as the click binding for notebooks where you want to add pages or remove pages. But remember, with the universal, you're going to want to stay 16 millimeters or above. When you're using the hack for the mini and the regular, in my other video, there's a hack for both of those. I'll put that link in the description too, so you can find it. Because there is a hack, you can use smaller. This is a 1/2 inch. This is a much smaller spiral binding that I'm using right here, because the other two have a different distance from the hole to the back. You can use a smaller one for those two machines. Now, because it is a hack, you have to double punch all of your pages. So if you're trying to look for time savers, it's not going to be a time saver. It's quick, but it's not going to be a total time saver, because you are punching it twice in order to do the hack. So guys, here we are. We are all the way around. I'm just going to come back here and cut my plastic. And now I have my spiral binding back in my book. Let's see how it turns. It opens easy. It has a gap between the pages. I don't know if you guys can see that. There is space between those pages. They don't touch. They don't overlap. I can turn one page at a time. They don't get stuck. Well, I like this. I like the spiral better than the click. I do like the concept of the click. I didn't like undoing it. That was very painful. But I like the concept. I don't know that if this is going to be comfortable enough in the universal punch, because of how close these pages were when the book was opened, you really have to have more space in there. So I might go and find some of these in a bigger size to see if the size is our problem. But when they introduced us to the universal cinch, they told us there were going to be a ton of choices for us to use this machine. So far, I have not found a ton of choices. I've only found that the spiral larger than 14 millimeter works. The double loop wire that we do in most of our standard notebooks, such as this wire works, but we could already use this in our cinch and our mini. The only thing we couldn't use was the spiral because it's hard to find a 2-to-1 pitch. You need a 2-to-1 pitch on the other two machines. You shouldn't need it on this, and you don't. You can use a 4-to-1 or a 3-to-1 using the universal cinch. This is a 3-to-1 pitch click binding. And as we saw, it's a little difficult, doesn't really fit properly. I don't think it's a good choice at this time. Keep watching my videos because you guys know me and my hacks. I always try to come up with something that's to be done that should not be done. And this was double punching these holes so that the spirals could fit. So I want to know your opinions. Do you think the click binding works? Have you found one that is actually a good size to use with the universal? Or have you found that this is just not worth it? I really would like to know your comments below. I'm trying to find the best solutions and the best ways for us to continue crafting so we can make all the pretty stuff. So make sure you like and subscribe. Come to my Facebook page and discuss this with us. We would love to hear your opinions, and you can see the opinions of others. You can also see how other people take my ideas, make it their own, and make some really incredible things out of it. So, click binding, yes or no? Tell me what you think, and as always, happy crafting.